Do you feel like you have weak hip muscles and you want to know how to activate all the muscles of your hips? Well, that phrase, it's all in the hips, that's not just a saying, because all of your strength and a lot of your stability in your core comes from making sure that your hips are activated. So, I'm going to show you how to do that today with 3 unique movements. Hey there, Coach Tyler here. And if you have aches and pains in your hips, or if you feel like when you walk, you get knee and ankle pain, maybe it just doesn't feel like you can activate your glutes when you're standing up straight from a chair, well then guess what? You need to learn how to activate all the muscles of your hips. Now this is incredibly important because your ability to extend your hips and stabilize your knee is incredibly important in you feeling good and being able to do all sorts of things in your daily life. Every time you stand up from a chair, you're using your hip muscles. Every time you take a step, you're using your hip muscles to stabilize that knee. So it's incredibly important that you learn how to activate those muscles so you can feel amazing in your daily life again. So what we're gonna do today is go over 3 different things. First, how to activate your glutes so that you can actually feel the biggest muscles in your lower body and make sure you're using them. Next, stabilizing your hip rotators, those little tiny muscles inside your hips that stabilize the rotation of your femur and protect your knee. And then also how we put it all together to create balance in the hips with one of my favorite exercises in the world for strengthening your hips. So, without further ado, let's get started and activate your glutes. Oh, before we go any further, I should just mention that I'm not your doctor. So make sure you get these things cleared by them first, okay? We're here to help you feel better in your body, but be smart, okay? Now, before I show you the movements that you're gonna use to activate the muscles in your hip, I wanted to show you the muscles in your hip that you're going to activate, okay? So this is an image of the backside of your body. This is your sacrum right here. This is your hip bones coming out like this, and this is kind of your legs coming down like that, right? And the big muscle that people think about when wanting to activate their hips is their glute maximus. This is your butt muscle, the big muscle that extends the hips like this. And while that's really, really important for creating a body that is strong and resilient, there's a lot of muscles in the hip that do a lot to stabilize the knee and the rest of the body. Namely, you have this little muscle right here called the glute medius. This one's called the piriformis, and there's a lot of other hip rotators all inside here. And what they do is they stabilize the rotation of the thigh. And this is super important because if you're walking and you don't have stable rotation, that's what can cause knee, ankle, hip, or back pain in the first place. So these exercises are not just gonna focus on activating these muscles, they're also gonna focus on activating these muscles right here. And once you really feel it, you're gonna feel a really strong, stable hip. So now let's jump over to the movements that are gonna help you activate all of these muscles right now. One of the most important things you can do if you want to have strong, stable hips is activate your glute muscles. And I'm going to show you a great drill to do right now that can get that done. So you're going to need a wall right in front of you, and all you're going to do is start by putting your hands on the wall. Make sure you plant that foot nice and firm, squeeze the ground with the toes, bring the knee up like this, and push the knee against the wall like this. So you want to be far enough distance where you're leaning into the wall like that, right? Now from here, what I want you to think about doing is I want you to think about pushing into the wall by driving your heel backwards like this, and then lean a little bit forward from the chest. So once you get into that position like this, like I said, find your balance, push the heel backwards, lean forward from the chest, and what you should feel is this muscle right here starting to fire like crazy. Now hold this position, really continue to drive that heel into the wall as much as you possibly can, and hold, and what you'll start to feel is this muscle is gonna start firing and getting sore and achy, and go until you feel like, oh my gosh, I can't go any further, and then stop for a second and feel it. And what you'll feel is, holy cow, I just activated my glute muscle more than I probably ever have. And continue practicing this. You can do this before you go for a walk. You can do this before you do any sort of workout. And what it's really teaching your body is how to activate the strongest muscle in your lower body and how to use that to extend the hip, which is why you have the glutes in the first place. They extend the hip like this, okay? So practice this every single day, activate those glutes, and it's gonna start making you have stronger hips and more stable hips, which is gonna benefit you in so many ways I can't even count. Real quick, before I get to the next movement, I wanted to mention that if you like this video, then you'll love the other videos that we release every single week on our channel. So, if you're interested in learning how to move your body better, so you can feel better in your body. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and then click the little bell icon so you can get notified every time we release a new video just like this one. Okay, back to the next movement. If you really want to activate all the muscles of your hips, your glute to extend your hips, and all the little rotators that stabilize your knee, then this is my favorite exercise. It's called the one-leg drinking bird. So I'm gonna show you how to do it, and be really patient with yourself because this requires a lot of balance, a lot of coordination, and a lot of control. So move slow and controlled, and like I said, it'll take a little time to get to the place where you feel really confident in this movement. So to start out with, I'm gonna bring my feet right underneath my hips with my toes facing straight forward like that. I'm gonna place my hands on my hips, and I'm gonna work on just finding balance with one leg up like this. If I can't find balance with one leg up like this, then this is what you need to work on. It's just literally being able to balance on one foot. Now from there, I'm gonna drive this foot back, and the first step I want you to do is just try to think about tapping your toe about 2 feet behind you, slight bend on the knee that's working right here. And when you hold this position, you'll feel the muscles all through the glutes and on the outside of the hip working very, very hard. Now from there, try to return to that start position. So real slow, drive into that heel, lift the knees, stand tall, and right there, finish the hips. Really squeeze the glute of the planted leg. Really finish the hips strong, like you're trying to almost jump forward, okay? So slow and controlled, I'll show you one more time. You're gonna bring the toes back like this, tap them, hold that position for a second, come to the top position, and hold that position for a second. Now, once this begins to feel comfortable for you, you can do the same movement, but instead of putting your toe on the ground, just let it hover above the ground. So it's gonna look like this. Knee's gonna go up, you're gonna come down like this, slow and controlled. Woo. See, it's hard to, you can always do that for balance right there. And then hover, and then come back up to the start position. Okay? Some things to be mindful of right here as you start to lift your toe off the ground is when you come back, don't let your hips open up like this. Keep them straight forward like that. And also, don't let your upper back round like this. Make sure to keep your elbows pulled back as you do this and tall through the top of your head the entire time. Now, how you make this more difficult from there is you just go a little bit deeper and a little bit more controlled. So you're gonna start with that top position again. You're gonna come down as deep as you can into a nice bottom position. And again, as far as you can based on your flexibility. Again, if you start to lose balance, use your toe for support, and then back up. Slow and controlled as you go back and forth between those positions right there. Now, like I said, if you practice this exercise, you can practice it as practicing a movement every single day. And then during your workouts, you can do things like 3 sets of 10 slow and controlled reps on the left side and then on the right side. And when you do, you're not only gonna strengthen the muscles that hinge your hips and extend your hips, but you're also gonna make them way more active and way smarter when it comes to stabilizing the rotation of your knee. So it should manifest as not just stronger body, but a much more stable, more injury-free, less prone to injury body. So again, move slow and controlled while you do the one-legged drinking bird, but practice it as often as possible because when you do, you're gonna activate all the muscles of your hips and they are gonna feel strong and amazing. Okay, before I get to the last movement that I really think is gonna make a big difference on how your body feels, I wanted to mention that the best thing for you to do after this video is over is to click the link below or head on over to WeShape.com so you can get free access to the amazing at-home workout system that we've created for you. Every exercise in your personalized at-home workout will be selected for you based on your goals and your capabilities, and our community is so incredibly supportive and encouraging, especially if you're a beginner. Okay, once you've been able to practice activating your glutes and you really feel that glute muscle working, now it's time to stabilize and activate the hip rotators, which are muscles that most people don't feel being worked very often. So I'm gonna show you another movement you can try to get those muscles burning and really activate them. So you're gonna start by standing nice and close to a wall. You're gonna bring your feet nice and close together like this and come down into just like a little baby squat, okay? So from a side angle, the knees are bent a little bit, the butt's pushed back a little bit, and the chest is still upright like this. From there, put your hand on the wall, lift this leg like this, and then what you're gonna try to do is try to drive this hand into the wall by pushing outward with the foot that's on the ground. So what I'm trying to do is this, I'm trying to drive this leg out like this to push my body into the wall this way. So again, baby squat, hand on the wall, slight bend of the knee. Now push into the wall and then just hold this position. Now, At first, you'll probably feel your thigh working a little bit, maybe your foot will be working a little bit, but after about 10 seconds, what you'll notice is a lot of weird muscles on the outside of the hip and even inside that glute right there are gonna start to burn. Those are your hip rotators, your hip stabilizers. And what they do is they stabilize the rotation of your femur, your thigh bone, from side to side, which is important because that's what protects your knee and your ankle and your hip and your lower back as you do anything, from standing up from a chair to walking, all right? So in this position, hold it for until those muscles start to burn, and then rest and relax. And just like everything I like to teach, feel the difference. What you'll feel is, holy cow, there's a lot of muscles in this hip that I didn't even know existed, and I don't feel them in this muscle, in this hip over here. So then switch sides, go on the other side until you feel that burn as much as possible in those muscles as well, and then go about your daily life. You can practice this, 3 days a week. You can practice it before you go for a walk, before you do a workout, and all you're trying to do is wake up those muscles so that they're available to you when you start moving around in your daily life. And what's really fun is when you start to go do things in your daily life and you start to go bend over to pick something up, and as you do it, instead of feeling your lower back hurt, you start feeling your hip rotators working. Then you know you're making progress on activating the right muscles in your hips that are gonna help you move your body through your daily life and feel significantly better again. All right, there you have it. 3 different movements that you can practice to activate all the muscles of your hips and really strengthen those hip muscles so you can feel stronger and more stable in your daily life. Now, that's just the start, because if you really want to have extra strength for activities in your daily life, then one of the other things you can do is work on strengthening your core. And I've got a video for you with the 2 best core exercises for beginners right here. Head on over there and I'll show you how to do these 2 exercises with perfect form so you can start activating and strengthening your core along with your hips right now.